What if the moral of a movie was don't follow your dreams, follow what everyone else wants you to be? That's my boy, the 1951 movie starring Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis movie. And honestly, that surprised me when I kind of clicked that in my mind. I'm going to try to say Jerry Lewis because I always want to say Jerry Lee Lewis. So if I say Jerry Lee Lewis, please pardon me. Because, great balls of fire. Anyways, this was Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. Third movie together, but this was actually the first one where they're the leads of the movie. In the first two films, there were side characters. This is the movie where Hollywood said, okay, these two are the stars now. And instead of a wild, chaotic Jerry Lewis comedy, what we get is something much more restrained and in a lot of ways more dramatic than funny. Jerry Lewis plays the son of a he's a small guy, awkward kid who likes animals, science, and basically anything not football. His father, on the other hand, was a former football star, and he does not think highly of his son. To him, Jerry Lewis isn't just different. He's too soft, a sissy, and a disappointment. Yes, I said the word sissy because that's how they spoke in the 1950s. So the father brings Dean Martin, a big, confident, athletic football player who he wishes was his son, to help toughen up his son, prepare him for college football. And right away, you can feel the resentment. The father openly wonders why he ended up with a son like Jerry Lewis, while Dean Martin's father is a small, sickly old man. Like, how did this happen? Jerry Lewis should be that guy's son, and then Dean Martin should be mine, basically, is what he's going on in his mind. Dean Martin is everything Jerry Lewis is not. Tall, handsome, athletic, popular. All the girls like him. Jerry Lewis, meanwhile, he gets overlooked. He's laughed at, gets rejected. Even the girl Jerry Lewis likes ends up falling for Dean Martin. Because, of course, she does, because, let's face it, Dean Martin was a hunk, right? This movie really leans into the old school idea that the jock gets everything, the sensitive kid gets nothing. That's how it was up to the 90s. I don't know about you guys. Expectation, I don't know about today's kids. Seems like roles are kind of reversed, Maybe American Pie with the band kids, I don't know. Let's continue. Expectations versus dreams. Here's where the movie gets interesting and honestly a little uncomfortable. Jerry Lewis actually has his own dream. He wants to work with animals. He wants to be a veterinarian. But instead of following that dream, he bends, he conforms, he becomes what his father and society wants him to be. And in the end, he becomes a good football player. He wins the big game for the school. He finally earns his father's approval. And it's hinted at he no longer wants to be a veterinarian, I guess, because he wants to be what his dad wants him to be. And this is where the movie kind of loses me, though, because the takeaway feels like, don't chase your own dreams, choose what society wants you to be, and acceptance. And I guess that's a very 1950s message. The movie rewards Jerry Lewis for not being himself, but becoming someone else. Now, to the movie's credit, there is one good moral movement. When the girl that he liked back in high school, who kind of rejected him, went to Dean Martin's character, now that he's a football star, she wants to be with him, and he turns her down because he didn't like her. She didn't like him before he became a football star. So that's the good part of this movie, and it kind of works. For me, though, I always think of Jerry Lewis as being kind of like a Jim Carrey type of comedian and actor. And so I was kind of surprised that this one didn't have the chaos or the physical comedy and the wild hijinks. So it's very controlled. Even his football scenes aren't like laughed out loud. I mean, there's more physical with like his helmet's a little different than everybody else's. I guess the biggest gag is that he doesn't have a face mask. My final thoughts, though, overall, that my boy is good. Not great. It's interesting for, like, historical reasons. It's important because it launched Martin and Lewis's careers, leading men. But a standalone movie, it didn't really hit me the way I was expecting it to. In the ending moral of the story, confined, be what people want you to be. It's good. And I'm not saying that's bad, like, being what other people want you to be, especially if you're somebody who's trying to go off on the wrong pathway. It's good to conform to others' expectations. But, you know, he already had a healthy life, a healthy dream, and a career planned for him. But, you know, everybody dismissed it. So he kind of conformed to being a jock. And, you know, being a jock is okay if you're actually good enough to be in the professional level, or you're going to be a coach or continue it in that form. So if you're watching this as a Martin and Lewis fan, though, it's worth your time. If you're expecting nonstop Jerry Lewis comedy, you might be disappointed, but as a snapshot of the 1950s values, father-son expectations, and early Hollywood stardom, it's a fascinating movie to watch. And if you want to check it out, it's on Amazon Prime right now. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoy it. And until next time, adios.